Our next speaker here today is a really neat shop out in Los Angeles. Family Industries was started by Max and Alex, and I don't even know how I met you guys, but they run an incredible shop, but not just any old shop. They do a ton of live printing, up to actually more than 400 events every single year for big companies like Nike, and Adidas, and Apple, and VidCon, all these crazy events. And you can follow them on Instagram and see it. It's unbelievable. And they've completely turned that business on its head. And I've been watching other printers be able to try to get into this and wanting to scale it, and it's not as easy as just wheeling a press over. So I want to be able to introduce Max to come on up, be able to explain this business, how it has happened, and how you guys can help get into this too.
Can we give a round of applause to Bruce, please? We appreciate everything, man.
Yeah, thank you.
He's always there for you. Live printing. How many people here have done an event, live printed anywhere? Okay, I don't need to do this talk then, right? What is live printing? It's pretty basic. You go to an event or on site anywhere and you basically print shirts on site. Nothing too crazy. Why does it matter? It's kind of funny because it kind of ties back into what Ryan was talking about, what Lucas was talking about. You're creating brand value, and your instant gratification is kind of like the big thing right now, and being on site at an event is really something that creates instant, it fulfills the instant gratification on site for people versus getting a t-shirt from a shop ahead of time. Family Industries. And if you guys have questions throughout this, I'd rather this be a conversational piece versus me talking at you. I don't like doing that, so it's not fun. So we started Family Industries in 2009. Both Alex and I lost our jobs the same exact week. We were screen printing on the side of our businesses every night. And somehow, through serendipity, we both started doing screen printing at the same time and basically started our company up. We do about 400 events a year. We started with screen printing, but we've really expanded our offerings because companies come to us now and they want the next thing, so we're always kind of having to develop a new on-site customization method. So we do screen printing, screen printed posters, on-site sublimation. We've developed a custom app and moderation tool so that people can design, whether it's a mug or a water bottle or anything you can do with sublimation on site. We've been doing a ton of embroidery on site. That's like the big thing this year for all the companies. They like monogramming, custom patches, that kind of stuff. Digital posters, so we do full-size 18 by 24 posters that people can design. Buttons, curated experiences, so we'll design an entire experience for companies. Activations where we're combining various elements from the above. Print gun and app-based experiences. And an example of an app-based experience was one that we just did with Toyota for the Firefly Music Festival. And they really want to get people into their cars on site at these music festivals that they're sponsoring. So we bring in a touchscreen tablet and let people choose their band lineup that they're going to go see at the music festival, have it printed out as a tattoo, and they get to put that on their arm on site at the music festival, so they get to walk away with their custom music lineup on their arm. So this is kind of something that we develop for these clients as we're working with them. Kind of a short list of the various clients we work with. It's kind of funny how we fell into it. I worked at a music marketing agency or a lifestyle agency, and I brought live screen printing to one of their programs back in 2008, where we screen printed at different bars over the course of an entire year in a Toyota Matrix. And we would literally show up in a Toyota Matrix, park in front of the bar, pull out a screen printing press with hinge clamps, kind of similar to what Rick was showing yesterday in his slide. We'd put cardboard or wood in the middle of a t-shirt, and we'd just be printing them off. So it was pretty rudimentary. It kind of developed from there. I think we bought 8,000 of those 9,000 silver presses that Ryan said he sold. Does anybody have more than us? we bought a lot of those over the years, like as we kind of kept going. But so over the time, we kind of developed, a good relationship with various clients, and they've come to us, which is pretty crazy. We don't really do much advertising or marketing to bring these clients in. So it's been a nice market to be in, and it kind of goes back to what Ryan said. It's like a blue ocean for us. Is that we've kind of been able to create our own niche market. So.
Do you work with a marketing firm, or
we work with agencies a lot,
yeah.
But we'll work directly with some of the companies as well. Sometimes like Hulu's in Los Angeles and they want shirts for their employees, and they'll come in and have a sprint on site. Cartoon Network we'll work directly with for Comic-Con, Levi's. We're doing events right now with Instagram and YouTube and Facebook for VidCon. So we're three different activations that we're doing right now today in the past few days. So. It depends, but a lot of times it's agencies. So we started off at that marketing agency I was talking about. That was my buddy Darren, and we went on tour with the Chemical Brothers in 2007, and that was the press. We were printing with water-based ink. Didn't really work, but we were printing on official band merch. We kind of made it work. We had a heat gun. We tried carrying water-based ink with a heat gun. It's not fun. We eventually, Alex and I became business partners. Darren was a buddy that lived in the same apartment building as me. So Alex and I bought one of those blue magnet presses and kind of expanded the business a bit. That was one of our first events as Family Industries for Coachella and Lucky Brand. And those magnet presses were a disaster on site sometimes because you let a screen come back up and the magnets are all released and your squeegees would go flying in every single direction. So don't use a magnet press on site. And within a year, we were hired by NBC Universal for Comic-Con to print for Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And they had all the movie actors and stars come to print with us. So we had Anna Kendrick and Michael Cera and a couple other people all printing with us. The line for that was 5 hours. So people waited in line for 5 hours to get a shirt. How many shirts we had? Like 10,000 shirts or something like that?
Yeah, 10,000 shirts, 5 presses.
Yeah, we were still amateurs at that point. Now we could get that done in one day, and it wouldn't be an issue. But at that point, it's kind of one of those new things. But it was a really cool experience to be able to kind of go through that. Now it's kind of expanded. Whether we do gifting suites, increasing booth traffic at various conferences and conventions. That's a big one that companies are looking for.
Just going back to that Comic-Con?
Yeah.
You did 10,000 hand printed shirts with people?
Yeah.
Wow.
Did the people print them or did you print them?
We printed.
Okay.
But we're always printing directly for guests as they come. We do not set up tables. We do not put a barrier between the guests and ourselves.
Okay.
I've seen so many companies do that. Don't do that. People love seeing a shirt printed, and if you're creating that barrier, it takes away from what they're going to get. At conventions and conferences, they increase booth traffic. They get to get their information so they can get names, numbers, and emails so they can start conversations and dialogue. We've been doing a lot of embroidery, so I've been touring with Bud Light and their Stitch Shop.
How many design offerings do you guys typically?
4? Yeah, but I'll get into the designs and kind of why, how to simplify it. Sometimes we have multiple presses on site. We did a full tour with Mercedes. We do pop-up shops, and then we do some heat press with patches and heat transfers. And there's just a couple more photos of different activations. This one we cut and sewed a custom cape for Xbox, and they had different designs so people could wear that around Comic-Con, and it was a really effective activation because people would see all these other people with capes on and want to go get a cape. That's Comic-Con, it's crazy.
How many team members do you typically have?
It depends on how many events we have per day. So in a weekend, say we have, we've had 25 events in one single night. So then you have 30, 40 people that you need on site. And it depends on how big the activation is. So if you scale it up, you're gonna need more staff. But we base staffing on kind of like the flat number of people that our client is expecting to go through the activation. And then this is actually today, or yesterday, and same thing as today. So the guys are doing custom jackets with patches and transfers and embroidery on denim jackets for Instagram. Facebook is getting custom duffel bags, and then YouTube is doing socks, hats, fanny packs, and I think they're bucket caps. So it's just one of those things that we kind of fell into, but we've been able to kind of jump into it head first.
So the embroidery, you guys bring your equipment, sew on site. Imagine you have like a big cargo trailer or something you haul everything in.
Logistics, so we ship everything.
Oh, okay.
So we're a logistics company that we
I
do.
just know those things are so finicky when you move them.
Yeah, we have road cases that we built, so we custom built cases for everything. So a couple like basic tips just to start. Start small. My top recommendation, I've seen a lot of businesses over the past 10 years. I know every single company who live screen brands for a while. I mean, you could ask Alex. I'm competitive, but I like to do my research. So I research every company who is online who would do live screen print. I've seen a lot fail because they tried to go too big too fast. There's been a lot of companies who have posed as other companies and written to us trying to get quotes and get our pricing. I know when that is. I know when people try to do that. I'm always willing to help. If anybody has questions, just reach out to me. But starting small, don't do an event that is too big. 100 people, just start it really, really simple. Kind of goes into the start small. You want to test the waters. Test your setup. Make sure you have something that you're comfortable working with on site. Use your network that you already have in place. Logo Daddy, you're talking about being in a rural area, but you have access to some of these clients who sponsor, you said races and various things like that. That's who your client is. You want to get to the sponsors of these events because they're going to either go to you to print shirts ahead of time, or you can do it on site and charge more. So what you can do is you can give them the brand the value you're creating for their brand to go on site by printing on site. And then have a plan, which is kind of the rest of the talk here. Seriously, start small. Why live print? Advertising and marketing. There's no better way to advertise your business than being on site and talking directly to people who are customers. We're a white label company, which means we do not brand anything on site when we're on site. We don't have our logo anywhere. But it gives us the opportunity to talk to people directly when they ask us, hey, who are you guys? What are you doing here? A lot of times, people reach out after an event and contact us to either do more events or print shirts on site. But there is a ton of opportunity for advertising and marketing. And also people put you up on social media all the time. So they're taking pictures and you're immediately spread out to thousands of people. New leads, people give you business cards when you're on site. Hey, I need shirts for this, or do you guys print one shirt? And then of course you nod and say, yeah, sure. Yeah. And again, this is the one that everybody's been talking about this entire week, creating brand value. You're creating brand value for your customer, and I think that's really important right now. And you create brand value for yourself as well. We've traveled all over the world printing live, so you get a really good opportunity to see new places. Hawaii, Europe. Cool one is in Mexico City. We've been there a couple times. Went to the Dominican Republic, though I don't know if I'd want to go there now with all the deaths. So travel is a big upside. So you get paid vacations everywhere. And of course, it's a new revenue stream. Live events can range anywhere from $1,700 that we've done locally, to $200,000, $300,000 campaigns. So you can really spread it out.
If a promotional products distributor has that, end user relationship, are you an option that they can come to for as a kind of a contract decoration basis?
We typically don't do that. Okay. We've done that one or two times, but we prefer to work directly with our agencies. Just kind of how we're set. We're basically an on-site customization agency. We have a full print shop as well, but we're typically working directly with a client on that. But we've done a couple recently with that.
How do you prepare? I mean, do you have one shirt per person, two shirts per person? How do you know what to have ahead of time?
So if we're doing an event that's like Comic-Con or an event like Instagram or whatever, they'll say they have a head count for an event. So we know coming in there's going to be 300 people. You're going to get a size breakdown of shirts. People don't care if they get the wrong size. It's just like maybe if it's one size off. but you kind of prepare on a per head fee when you're coming in, and you get everything ready to go based on that. And I'll have some more on that too.
I don't know if you're gonna get this or not, but we've done events where, you know, the person that hired us thinks 500 people are gonna show up. They ordered 500 shirts, 100 show up, and they got 400 extra shirts. How do you deal with that situation?
So we put something in our invoices saying that we charge for 500 no matter what, because what happens is you're staffing for 500 people. So what we say is we will then go back to the shop and we'll print additional shirts for you for your event, but we're still going to charge you for printing. So that way you can kind of protect yourself in a situation like that.
How are your prices different, live print versus like in your print shop?
Live printing is a lot more. because it's a premium service when you come on site, you know.
You base it on shirt, or you base it on here's my fee to show up and print?
It's tough to say the exact pricing, but we come out to a per head cost. We got to take everything into consideration.
And they give you a starting number on quantity.
Yeah, exactly. So why not event management? I don't know if anybody's been in the event world here, but everything is last minute. People are really picky. Take your regular client and make it 10 times worse with an event planner or the event world. A lot of cooks in the kitchen to get designs approved. Sometimes you're not, getting a design until the day of an event. We had one with the Lion King on Tuesday for the movie premiere, and we're not getting the designs for that until Tuesday morning, and we have to be on site in 2 hours after that. So you really have to, and you got to manage staff. So you got to have staff on site. So there's the event management side. A basic kit is pretty cheap to get into, but once you start scaling up, you can spend money pretty fast because 8,000 silver presses cost a lot.
For a situation where your client's not giving you last minute, is that like rush charge or any?
Yeah, you kind of do it similar as a rush charge. The good thing about that event is it's sublimation, and our app is pretty easy to build out, so we're not burning screens or anything like that. But you're still waiting. You still got to design things around it, make sure everything's sized properly, so you don't want to show up to site and not be prepped.
So you say y'all use water-based ink, or y'all like burning 10 screens per?
We use Plastisol now. Oh. Yeah, we did that first event as water-based, and that was a mistake.
We're talking about equipment. So what type of dryers are you guys using on these things? Because if you can do 10,000, these little dryers I'm seeing for live printing events.
Yeah, we use flash dryers and flash pallets.
Really?
Yeah, because what you can do with that is you can keep talking to a guest. When you have a dryer, you lose that guest immediately. And what you want to do is you want to engage people. That's where the win is.
So it's just a flash cure?
Yep, but it cures everything. So it's single color designs.
Right.
So are you charging the customer that's getting the shirt, or is the event paying for the shirt?
The event's paying for it. So basically, think of it as like a company comes to your shop and they want to get shirts printed ahead of time for an event, or say it's a run, or say it's something, just in general. Instead of them paying to have shirts printed in our shop, they have us come out on site and print on site to create that traffic.
Do you think your sublimation printer there?
Yeah, but we just use a basic, smaller sub printer. Yeah. It's time consuming. We have one full-time staff who's basically booking all of our logistics and hotel travel, and then another one or two who are on the road, but then they come back and they're basically having to redo all of our kits, so things that are shipping in and out. It takes a lot of time to book all the events as well, so we're kind of like a touring booking agency almost in a way. Like I know a lot of people here have played music and toured. It's basically that constantly. From getting gear, our gear goes from location to location, and we have to keep track of the spreadsheet where things are going. There's a steep learning curve once you start getting into the other activations, and you got to have trained staff. That's time consuming, and a lot of times these staff aren't full time because they may be in a different city or they're different places, but you need to train them.
Tell us about the time your equipment didn't arrive on time.
I got that comment in the mistake section. There's been a few of them.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you've been hired for an event. That's the same thing I said here for this event. This was for it's hard to see this photo, but behind it, we were invited to print for the opening of the Plano, Texas Toyota facility, and they wanted for us to print 5,000 shirts in 4 hours. So we did. 16 screen printer presses, 25 staff, and we finished early.
With flash drives?
With flash drives.
My man.
Yeah. Flash pallets.
Wow.
You could use them.
But is it your staff that's doing the printing, or the
Yeah,
custom is doing it?
we did the printing. But they come up to us and they'll tell us what design they want. If it's a smaller curated event, let people print. But if it's something that's highly trafficked, you want to make sure that you're getting through people as many as possible.
Are these full-time staff members?
Some of them are.
Or are you?
Yeah, yeah, we have full-time staff. Yeah.
On something like that where you have 10,000 shirts that quick, how much are you focused on, like you said, you want to flash and keep them there talking to them, but how much are you trying to keep it moving?
Well, the good thing with a flash, with the flash palette spinners, is that you can have a shirt curing while you're printing somebody else's shirt, so you're engaging two people. And once the one shirt's done, sometimes we'll do overlapping designs or multiple locations. It's easy to keep talking to people and keep yourself in a rotation. So the problem with it, I mean, the dryer, yeah, it cures a shirt, but the problem is that you lose that person, and how do you keep track of all these shirts going through? So I prefer the other method. Like we talked about, you're going to prep everything ahead of time. Everybody has a different setup, so I don't want to get too much into like what you're prepping, but if you're a shop, you know what you have. You have your gear, you need to tape your screens, you know, make backup screens, make sure your inks are all set and ready to go. If you're traveling with inks, wrap them properly. We've had a few times when ink explodes into our road gear, and that's never fun to clean up. Anything that's backup, make sure that you have power on site when you arrive to an event. Less is more. I've seen these shops bring out these full, 6-floor presses. Don't do it. You're going to waste more time setting up and tearing down. The whole point of this is to be on site, be nimble, be fast. Make sure you're advancing your needs. Power, lighting, if you're outside, shade. You may provide it, or the client may provide it. A lot of times we're asking for the client to provide this stuff since they're their agencies and they're setting up kind of the overall scope of the event. Perfect your setup. Set it up in your shop and have a good flow. What may work well for us may not work well for you, but you may have a setup that works better than what we do. And then of course the apparel or imprintables. People tend to like a Bella canvas or next level shirt, just basic, and it's easy to upsell this a bit when you're live printing. And of course, check all of your gear, and then check it again, because you do not want to show up with gear missing. Designs. This is the one that I'm pretty adamant about, and that I will always talk to our clients about as well. Single color designs. It gives you more options for people to choose from, but you're also making things a lot easier for you when you're curing your ink. You don't need you don't need palette adhesive. You don't need anything like that. It keeps it simple, and people still like getting a single color design. They didn't know a two-color design existed. They're never going to ask you for a two-color design on site. So single color designs could be effective. So that's one thing to take away from it.
How does that work with the evolution of your clients? Like you said, wanting to do something new, different, fresh. I'm sure they've said, "Hey, we've been doing single colors for years. Let's spice it up." What's your response there?
Giving them multiple locations for printing, or if you do single color designs, you can overlap it. This kind of is more in regards to screen printing. With sublimation, obviously you got full color, and with patches or transfers and things like that, you can kind of expand on that a bit. But for screen printing, single color designs. The illusion of choice. How many of you have sat watching Netflix trying to pick a movie, and an hour later you look at your wife or significant other, and you have not picked a movie yet? And you're like, what the hell are we doing? We just spent an hour looking for a movie, and now we're too tired to watch a movie. That's what happens when you have too many designs on site. People cannot choose. That also comes into play with t-shirt colors. Keep it simple, 1 or 2 t-shirt colors. When you have 6 colors, people take 10 minutes to choose that they want to try on every size, every color. It's not worth it.
Always like dark shirt with dark color.
We'll do dark with light too, but you just gotta let people know that it's gonna be. It looks, it's not gonna have the full vibrancy that it would. But they don't have an issue if you kind of do vintage designs. This one is like nails on a chalkboard to screen printers, but it's true. You still want to keep quality there, but speed is the key when you're on site. You want to make sure that you don't keep people waiting for too long. We're generally trying to turn out a person a minute, and sometimes faster than that. And then don't make image sizes too big. We've seen that too, where you got to send it through the dryer. You want to make sure that you're keeping your images nice and clean. Keep it simple. in all honesty, people care more about seeing a screen printing press head spin around than pretty much anything else. So if you're showy with your setup on site, people are going to come over and say, oh, this is cool. So some of our guys will sit there, and specifically one of our printers, Maxwell, will just spin it around, and people come by and they want to see it. So make it a spectacle. You're really presenting a show. You want people to come over, see what's going on, and you want to create like that engagement. Don't overthink it. Don't get too technical. As screen printers, you always want to be, perfect with where placements are going, or what ink colors you're doing. You want to match Pantones if a client asks for one, but I just really think you do not want to overthink what you're doing on site. This goes back to the gear setup: easy in, easy out. If you have light gear, you can get into an event more quickly and leave an event more quickly, and then you have less hours on site. So easy in and easy out. Happy guest, happy client. I think that one's self-explanatory.
How do you do crowd control? Like that line that's 5 hours long. Like how do you make sure that,
Well, once you create a line, people are in line. You have to create a line at first, and once there is that line in place, there'll be a line for the rest of the time. If you start off and you just let people come to you, you're screwed. So you want to make sure there's that line in place, and when people see that line, oh cool, there's a line. So customer engagement is the key to live printing. So that's, again, going back to it. Don't block yourself off from the people coming through these events. You want to engage them as you're going through. Don't put a table in between yourself.
So do you put one person standing there talking to people while you got a guy printing? Because I can see some guy that's got this concept of this grand T-shirt line, and he just wants to pick your brain and ask you a gajillion questions.
Sure.
I don't know if any of you guys have seen some of those videos out there. The screen printers are on YouTube. We call them the Baconator. This guy, he's going to order 10,000 shirts, but he just wants to get 12 to start. So his friends can buy.
Right.
I can see a lot of that. So I mean,
somebody there. So what we do is we have one of our staff will hand out the shirt sizes to the people as they're coming through the line, and then when the press opens up, they'll send them to that person. So you have somebody who's kind of like a gatekeeper, and then that person comes over. Yeah. So you're engaging these people multiple times when you're on site.
Okay.
Again, this is the takeaway of this whole thing. So if you're on site, customer engagement is the key. Other things. Scaling up for a larger crowd. If somebody gets in contact with you or you're pitching this to a client, don't underestimate what you're going to do per hour. 60 shirts per hour, and then if you need to do more than that, you're going to need another screen printing press or another setup on site. So just make sure that you're not overselling what you can do. Event insurance, this is a big one. Make sure you have a COI. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have insurance agents that you're working with for your business already. They can supply this. So you reach out to them, you let them know who needs to be covered. You show up on site, you need to have this. This is necessary. So every event we do, we have to send out a COI to our clients. Logistics, like I was saying, we're wrapping pallets, we're sending things out. Figuring out how you're going to get your gear to site is a big thing. Whether it's a trailer, whether you're shipping, whether you're throwing it in the back of a car. You just want to make sure that you have this set up ahead of time. Travel, if you're booking travel to another location, think about that in your costs. And again, everything is last minute. Things will change. You show up on site and the power's not ready to go. It may be crazy weather.
I've had a situation where they say, hey, we're going to have 1,000 people at this event, and you show up and there's 2,000 people at this event.
We have, but it's one of those things, first come, first serve. It creates demand that way. So people are lining up, they want that shirt, they're going to come get it. And we've had people who come after we're done setting up, we're all packed up. Oh man, you guys are done? Alex knows this morning. It's the worst. And then, well, can you just set it up for one more shirt? No. Are you crazy? You should have come, oh, but there's a line. Yeah, well, you missed that. And mistakes happen. Forgetting gear. Alex and I were actually printing in Chicago at, what's the venue? Metro for Band of Horses, and we were doing a poster event. And we had just finished printing. We were living the life. We were just hanging out, listening to Band of Horses, and we got a call from one of our teams who was printing for Stanford University. And they said, where the hell are the squeegees? And we realized that we didn't pack any squeegees for the event for Stanford. Luckily, these guys are kind of they're builders, so they made some squeegees out of cardboard for this one. Didn't really work out too well, but don't forget your gear. And that goes back again. Check your gear multiple times.
Cardboard.
Yeah. It was crazy. But they did it. They pulled off, like, I think it was like one of the two, like, the designs. Yeah, they just taped it together, and it was able to push through the screen.
They triple Duro?
Yeah. Yeah. But don't forget your gear. Equipment breakdown, flash dryers, things on site. Just be prepared. Make sure that you have tested this gear ahead of time. You never know when something's going to go wrong. A power outage. We were printing on site for Amoeba Music, which is a big music store in LA, for the record store day. And their power went out on stage, and we were flash carrying the shirts. And for about 5 or 10 minutes, nobody knew that the power was kind of going out. You still check the shirts and whatnot, but about, I don't know, 30 to 40 shirts didn't cure all the way because the power went out and the flash dryer had tripped the circuit. So we had to reprint shirts for the client afterwards. And that goes to the ink that hasn't been cured. Weather issues. We were just on site with Sprint for a tour for the Gold Cup, and 2 of the events were close to being canceled because the wind and weather was just too crazy. So always be prepared for weather issues, have your gear covered. And misprints. Surprisingly enough, customers on site don't mind misprints quite as much. So this is the one that people always ask us, and I can't really tell you how much to charge, but I can kind of give you some ideas on breakdowns of what you can try to charge for your client. First, you need to pick your business model. Are you a flat rate company or a sales-based company? We don't sell on site at events. We never have. We charge our client for what we're worth to come out on site. There's a lot of businesses who go on site to races or soccer tournaments or things like that, and they sell on site. So we're the flat rate one. That's our business model. We're sticking to it. We don't charge on site. There are no pricing parameters in place for live printing. It's kind of a free market right now. We've seen a lot more companies kind of come into it. So there's a lot more local options now, whereas before we'd get flown into some smaller cities to print on site. Keep your hard costs in mind. Staffing, travel, shipping, supplies, apparel. Those are all things you need to put into your formula when you're creating cost for a live event. Value add-ons. We always try to sell our customers on a preprint, a sleeve print. You got 5,000 shirts, let's add a sleeve print of your logo ahead of time so that the designs you're giving the customers are more fun and they don't have to have a logo on them. Or you can give it a little bit more of a nice look. So you can add on to your invoice by adding in 5,000 preprints if you've got a bigger event. It's a premium service, so price it that way. Don't go too low. You're going to put yourself out of business if you price too low. Different types of events that you guys could probably get into. Street fairs. We do probably 6 bar mitzvahs a month in Los Angeles. We've done weddings, pop-ups, openings, gallery events, conventions and conferences. If you guys have any companies that you work with who you print for and they go to a convention conference, that's a big one. Increasing their booth traffic is number one. They want to collect user data, and that helps collect user data. And that's the one we focus on, experiential marketing. And Lucas yesterday was talking about the same thing, but that's our main clientele. Managing an event, that's a short line for shirts. We can get through that in 5 to 10 minutes. So the person in the back of the line getting to the front of that screen printing press is going to wait no longer than 5 to 10 minutes. They could talk to their friends, have a drink, get to the front. Drunk people at events are crazy. When you're on site, become best friends with the event producer because you're going to need something and they're going to need something from you. So make sure that you become best friends. Design a print menu. People need to see what they're printing or what they have the choice of, so make sure that you have that clear. Create a line. Like I said before, moths to a flame. People see a line and they will wait in line. And no matter what it is, they see that line, they're going to go get in line for that. Again, print directly for the guests. Stay calm and always be kind because everybody there is a customer. You never know who's going to hit you up later for shirts. You never know. Do not use the code check system. That means do not have people come back later to pick up their shirts. It's a mess. How are you going to organize things on site? You're going to need 2 extra staff. Get the shirts out when you're printing them. Keep your space clean and clear. You got to be professional on site, and be proactive. So if there's an issue or you see something arising, make sure you're taking care of it ahead of time. If the client needs shirts for their you know, their CEO or something like that, take care of it before the event. Ask them if they need shirts for their office, whatever it may be. So the moral of the story, live printing is a great revenue stream if you can dedicate the time to growing your offerings. If it's not, find your niche to build extra income.
If you set up a live printing event and the weather is bad, are you still getting paid for the event? How do you work that with your customers?
Yeah, so we're set. So once that contract is signed, if we're on site or we're getting, you know, ready to go on site, then we're gonna get paid. We have kill fees, so sometimes we'll work with an agency and then like for some reason it gets cut, then sometimes we'll have a kill fee for an event that we build into it.
I've looked at this, I've considered it. Something that is a concern of mine is you have like one of these small entry-level presses there, and people start seeing that and they think, oh, well, that's how they do it. They don't know back at your shop you've got a $100,000 machine sitting, and they just think, they love the experience, they love to see how it's printed, and they just assume that's always how it's done. Do you think it kind of lessens the value of our trade?
No, because I think it shows it to more people. Because 99% of people have never seen how a shirt's printed.
Right.
So when they see how it's printed, it kind of is like magic to them.
Yeah.
And just because they see it doesn't mean that they can do it. So they can go try it, and
Right.
they're going to fail. And then they're going to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go back to the guy that I met because his shirts are much better than mine.
Yeah.
We've got an event in August with 7,000 people, so I guess my question is, can we have lunch today?
Sure, yeah.
Max, so what you mentioned, like the engagement is so important, like several times, and a lot of people that I've seen live printing are just not very engaging, you know. So they just go up there and they're, you know. So how do you hire and staff these guys? How do you train them to be engaging? Because that's a hard thing.
You find people who you talk to through various resources that can be that engaging. I mean, being in LA, there's a lot of people like that, just knowing the industry there. So you find a lot of people who you can engage with there. And that's one thing that if you're not, we kick you out. You're not part of the team. So we really try to get that on site. It's been engaging.
So when you have the shirts left over, do you take them back to your shop, or do you let the customer keep them and then they bring them back to you later?
So it depends on an event. So say you have 10 shirts left over at the end of the night, print them right there, give them to the client, ask them which designs they want. Say you have 100, then you say, hey, we have 100 shirts left over. Do you guys want to keep them? Do you want us to take them and print them back at the shop? We'll send you the cost of printing other designs on them or printing the designs from the event onto them.
Do you have like a time limit at your shop? Because I mean, it's going to take up space at your shop.
Sure. Usually we'll try to get it printed within 2 weeks, because if we still have the screens there and we just need to knock out a few, then we'll just use those screens.
What tools besides obviously Printavo do you use to like keep track of all of it?
We were using Basecamp, but we switched over to Monday because it's easier to see in kind of a list. We use a lot of Excel spreadsheets within the live team. So type of event, staffing, like all the stuff. So it's like this big spreadsheet with all the events lined up, where the gear is going, and whatnot. But Monday we're implementing this.
That just like drives that, like.
We all kind of add into it. So the logistics guy will see the shipping. I'll add in the new events, or one of the other guys will add in events that he's booking. So everybody kind of sees it.
What equipment do you use that's easy for take up, bring down? Because we do a different version of this every year for sorority recruitment at a university, but our equipment is too big. So they all come to us and they print their own shirts.
Sure.
So we're going to do a reverse thing, but it would be great not to pack 350 girls in 4,000 square feet. If we
That's
could
a lot.
go to them, but I can't take my equipment.
This man Ryan right here has a press for you. No, seriously,
I need to talk with you.
Yeah, we've customized some of the presses from Ryan.
There's a lot more people that want to do that.
Yep.
But my space is so limited and my equipment's not over.
Yeah, all you need is 10 by 10.
They work great.
So are you taking single head?
We have some double. We have two units where we're having printers on both sides, so it's 2 heads down. 6 color, 4 color, just depends.
You're still getting 4. So like even though it's a 1-color design, you set the same screen up like 4 times?
4. It could be 4 different options. Whatever they want to do is a combination. They could put in 4 single color designs. If they want to do the same design that's 4 colors, they can do that too. It just really depends on how
So
you.
your backup is not already set up necessarily. You got another set of screens in the trailer still.
You know, we don't bring. In all honesty, we don't bring backups much. I probably haven't had a screen pop on me in a long time, but we don't really bring backups.
Do you print any events inside, and if so, what about the, like if you're doing plan that is going to give off over?
We do print events inside. Typically, we try to get people to go 100% cotton, just because on-site it prints a lot better overall, for just various purposes.
And you said that you don't class this all out, like looking at your portfolio of clients, and like some just appreciate what it is, and this
You know, they don't really mind, and when you have single color prints, you can, and on a lighter colored shirt, you get pretty minimal feel, so it's never too much of an issue. My time's up, but if you have questions.
One last one.
Okay.
Would you be willing to print for an event next year for about 1,000 people in Chicago called Print Hustlers 2020?
Bring out some new gear out here, so we'll do it. Thank you.